welcome to your transit forecast report. This is the Peace Dealer. First of all, I'm very excited that you did get this weekly subscription. I'm actually looking forward to this, especially relative to your notes and the goals that you have pretty much spoken on, namely the chances of you finally getting something off the ground, actualizing your dream business, taking off and being successful. This is exceptionally more important because you're like the goddess Mama Magi. Like, you're normally when I do these readings, I've been heavily incorporating the law of assumption and just feeling the end state as if it's already there. And that's been like prerequisite to a lot of my consultations as of late. And that's why I'm so excited to do this, because I mean, you've been there, done that. Like, you're literally the ascended magic teacher. So, you know everything I'm gonna say as far as you are successful because you have literally with your 9th house Sagittarius, your visualization of success, seeing it as it's already done, fully leaning into the Neptunian dream. Okay, others will call it delusion, but it's really ascended visual magic with which you are maniacally genius. This is your maniacal genius as far as the wisdom that expresses this, which I'm pretty sure shocks other people, because I don't want to be mean when I say this, but they're muggles. I don't like the word muggle because I feel like muggle is very condescending. I never really watched Harry Potter 2, so it's not necessarily like something that I like to say as far as like feeling better than other people or trying to make a distinction as far as like, oh, people who can see magic are cooler and people who can't. Okay, so I just wanted to say that before I say this. They're muggles who are not on your level, and they don't see magic like you, and they're thus not nearly as cool as you. And it's amazing too. Look at the 4 degrees and 44 minutes. Like, they're not even close to on your level. And the reason why I'm saying that is the distinction of levels here is very pertinent. Seeing that the realm of success for you is at the collective universal level, the Capricorn MC that has progressed to Aquarius, applying this legacy of success to be known. Everything that over the next 20 years, Pluto will awaken as it goes through Aquarius. Okay, so one, just you visualizing the end state, of course, of you being successful is literally all you have to do. I'm not saying that in principle, because I mean, anyone's gonna manifest, right? If they just, everyone has their own unique variations. The concept remains the same, whether through repetition or just really deciding that this is what it is and having things set through. But I mean, you specifically, 21 degrees and 44 minutes, my friend, of Neptune, and 4 degrees and 44 minutes. You're so magic. It's like unreal. And I'm not saying that to flatter you. I already know. We already know what it is. Like, you've shown me like repeatedly like your next level magic. We've had the conversations and whatnot. But like, for you specifically, this Neptune in the 9th house is such a prime position that one, it has already squared Neptune in Pisces, that now Neptune going through Aries, we're going to talk about, and then Uranus, which is in Gemini, has already gone opposite your Uranus in Scorpio. So what's very important to establish here is that the prerequisite conditions have already been met for you to achieve success beyond your wildest dreams. Another major facet of this actually has a lot to do with Saturn here in your chart. Saturn, which returned for you, I want to say like 2010, after it left Virgo, you guessed it, is in Aries. Coming into next year, you're going to fulfill the 180-degree Saturn opposition, officially breaking through this karmic journey The Saturn return, when it returns to your position, and the opposition are two of the most significant aspects in a Saturn cycle. And why is that significant? Because you being in a position where you want to take off and be a lot more successful really takes into account with your legacy of success in Capricorn, ruled by, you guessed it, Saturn, has a lot to do with, at least now putting in context you're breaking through. This now makes sense as to why the theme of you actualizing your dream business and taking off isn't really just a desire. This is legitimately what's meant to happen right now. So this is actually really opportune that you got this, because I'm going to detail and break down why this is more than just a go, why this is literally what you're meant to do. And this is where I feel like I'm patronizing you by telling you, because I do have the Ultimate Manifestation playlist when I give you this recording. I do highly recommend you can check it out if you want resources. But I mean, I feel like that's beneath you. Like I feel like you're so versed in this already. You do this without even trying. You operate at literally like such a higher level of magic, as triple fire at that. So yeah, something to keep in mind. There's certain things I'm going to reflect here that will just kind of give you an idea of this new world order era that we're stepping into, and why everything up until now, and I appreciate you being like 10 years older than me, because everything we've kind of experienced up until now, given, you know, our status with Pluto Libra and Pluto Scorpio respectively, it's preparing for the Saturn Aries Pluto Aqua. And whereas some people come into earlier success, we're breaking through this later success. So let's actually break down what's happening for you, just to really kind of give you the gist. 2026, Jupiter is going to go into Leo, and by 2027, or let me just say by the beginning of 2027, Jupiter and the South Node will be meeting in Leo. So everything is actually preparing you to debut 2027. This year and next year is the entrance into a progressed sense of a brand new evolution cycle for you. This, as an Aries rising, is now preparing you to move with Jupiter in the fourth. Most people, I would say 98% of people I do readings with, when Jupiter goes to their fourth, they're moving. So this could represent renovating your inner home, but because it's opposite your career house, these are the conditions as Jupiter at 5 degrees has completed itself relative to 2017 when it last entered Libra. It is now completing in this house of completion and career the evolution cycle that you started painstakingly since 2017. This is another career indicator that will really focus more on furnishing your efforts to expand your living situation so that you have the foundation to effortlessly gain career success. This is actually mind-blowing. There are so many points in this chart pointing towards your inevitable success, especially the progressed sun, 20 degrees Capricorn in your natal 10th house. So you're applying this vision you've quite literally spent your entire life crafting in order to teach the universe about the higher meaning of not just magic but life. And now this Capricorn journey since 20 years ago is you applying everything you've ever taught and seen towards the definition of your legacy. So that's why moving forward, the next 10 years coming out of Capricorn and Pluto going through Aquarius is this definition of you actually not just manifesting, but supernaturally, establishing what you've always been meant to do and how you're meant to be known, bringing much more of a social, humanitarian, and outward focus towards these developments. I do want to also remind you that you got the 30-minute weekly, so you will be charged every week and Friday. I made sure that you will be billed every Friday. Please understand that you are able to pause anytime you want. So if you want to pause the subscription, please feel free. Do not hesitate. If you want to cancel it, you can as well. Pausing is just for postponing. If you may not be able to do next week, regardless of that, you got the transit forecast, but you have access to any recorded report. So if you decide to change your mind and you want to do like a synastry report next week, or you want to look into an eclipse report, any other type of report that I have on my website, just email me, let me know, or message me, and we can do that. Other than that, I will assume you just want another transit forecast, and we will look into each week. So because this is the first one, I want to point out how divine all this is very aligned. And I'm very amazed you asked me this question. I'm going to give you the short-term and long-term projections for what's quite literally destined to happen to you. And I think you should be very excited. Mainly every week, what we're going to do is look into the weekly transits. Namely, of course, by tomorrow, the moon will be in Taurus. So last Friday, to this Friday was, of course, moon in Capricorn and moon in Taurus, 19 degrees Cancer to, of course, 26 degrees Cancer. And we'll just look into a more detailed look each week. I kind of like 15 minutes for weeklies, but we can kind of extend more into how it affects you monthly as far as what's happening to you every month, as well as also incorporate the progress chart insight. Okay. So with that being said, before we go into this week, of course, the sun is going to really just push forward its progression or movement into your fourth house and prepare for you to, of course, integrate everything you've activated in Aries. But let's take the next few minutes to actually break down what the last year into this year is really kind of signified and accomplishes for you. We've already established that Uranus is opposite your Uranus. In fact, Jupiter's transit, May of 2024, that left into Gemini, initialized money, okay, liquidity. That's actually happening in Cancer. All right, so this is actually very important. 2023 is where Jupiter went through your rising in April, and that's when you activated this brand new cycle since 2011. Then up until May of 2024, it went through your second house, which is actively evolving the value and money that you can naturally produce and manifest. This is compounded more by the fact that Uranus in Taurus now not only completes the opposition since birth in Scorpio, huge deal, and the good thing here is that Uranus in the 8th and 2nd is unconventional wealth, unexpectedly, that you have the grounded value for because they're based on your own services and products. Okay. Now Jupiter in Libra, when it was opposite Aries, is also a 180 degree opposition, which means that through Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, you've broken through, hence Cancer at the completion. Now, of course, Neptune last year was breaking through Pisces, 90 degrees. The psychological understanding of Neptune Sagittarius progressions or cycles is that this, of course, is clairvoyant perception, seeing the higher meaning, right? It's just, there's what it is in theory, and then there's how you use it. Okay. Legitimately on point. However, 2012 to 2024 is 90 degree square, integrated in the 12th house, mind you, of its ultimate rulership, of now the foundation and integration of how your beliefs are formed based on what you see. What this did for a lot of people who have this, unlike us who have Neptune and Capricorn and are going through the Aries, which is more cardinally based, how we originally take action with it, Pisces gave you deeper and deeper and deeper layers of imagination to be comfortable with the fact that this is primarily unseen. So through that square, it challenged what is a delusion. How do you have faith into what it is you're quite literally using supernatural psychic abilities at a godlike level to see into? All right. This square could have possibly isolated you because maybe a lot of people may not have been able to really understand the fact that you can literally just see into situations with no need for inductive or deductive reasoning. Kind of like how you saw I was the guardian of the angel realm. I can definitely tap into stuff like this, but you and I both know people would just see this as completely batshit delusional insane. However, you're clearly, built for this. So this integration that you've cleared with Saturn has now also completed the belief systems and the Saturnian, of course, authority and totality of everything to believe and control through this. So now that it's going through Aries, the trine that Neptune's going to make through Aries throughout this transit is going to apply this comfort and integration to where now your visions are going to be not only something you can take action off of creatively, especially as it trines your sun, but now it's going to transcend this original embodiment. Now this is where things get fun. Basically, we know that the Pluto is slowly approaching the moon, and we're going to have the new moon literally right next to your moon and north node. A lot of Leo season is just preparing to reactivate your north node for when the south node goes over this and complete and harvest the opposite nodal activation or the nodal return you had 10 years ago. Okay. But now this is where we look at the progress chart, because of course, since 1980, you're an angel now. You have progressed into an angelic embodiment, and your sun is in Capricorn. The reason why this is significant is now your second house of money is in Cancer. So Jupiter, while expanding this home space that's going to sponsor a deeper furnishing of the foundation needed to achieve success, is also expanding your money. So even though last year this expanded the base grounding and your values to prepare ahead of time to be wealthy beyond your beliefs, Cancer is now filling up the liquidity of this and applying it relative to how you allocate these funds, relative to your home situations, real estate opportunities. So this is where it's going to actually feel like throughout the rest of the year, you're getting crazy rich. I say crazy rich because of Uranus in Gemini. That as it goes opposite your sun, things are just going to click that you've always seen, but now are directly experiencing as they just literally metamorphosis their way into your objective reality just by seeing and saying it. Okay, this is where a lot of the development that's occurred, maybe theoretically or in the realm of imagination, completely break through physically. And that's what the purpose of this year is really going to kind of break through. In an effort to complete 2020 to 2024's apocalypse cycle and to really transition us into the new world order. Okay. The square we even had from the 12th to the 1st and Jupiter coming 3rd to the 4th is preparing to expand this inner foundation so that you can step forward as an authority since 2010 alone, where you have, of course, done the social work necessary to now break through relative to the authority of who you can say you are based on what you've done for others. Obligated to. I mean, clearly, it's like holding others accountable, but also really preserving that balance and peace. And I mean, with that in the 7th, that brings a lot of haters. That brings a lot of tension, social anxiety, difficulty. But I mean, you're very tough. So, once again, your ability to see through this at a fundamental level really kind of gives you an unprecedented advantage here. But that being said, the North Node we know is in Pisces. So what's going to happen is next year, when the North Node goes into Aquarius, coming into like the top of 2027, that's going to be on your progressed MC. This date here is January 25th, 2027. So basically, from right now to the top of 2027, everything that is happening with the North Node through Pisces is irreversibly setting you up for success. This is your dream business getting ready to actualize. So you really do not have to worry or concern yourself too much about the logistics of how things will work out versus just doing what you believe in the moment must be done to push towards that goal, knowing that through September, how you do so will refine itself. By 2027, the knowledge of this success will begin to unlock. And now that's going to lead you into, so you don't have to wait till then, but this is when you're going to start to see more development. By the time now the North Node is in Capricorn, 2029, you are now unlocking that real success in your business. So it's important to understand that now through the end of the decade isn't that, oh, okay, I have to wait till 2029 and then I'll be successful. This is the really long-term range through which it's already happening right now. Hence the need to, of course, really step you into this new cycle of development to account for, of course, the completion of these cycles that we, of course, 2 decades ago and a decade ago initialized. So I wanted to kind of make that clear because this North Node cycle that is in Pisces now that will go through Aqua and Capricorn are quite literally responsible for everything that is destined to happen in order for you to unlock this. So wanted to get that out the way. If we actually talk about today, when we had the eclipse back in March, this is what now began to unlock this chain of destiny with Saturn, of course, involved in Pisces. The reason why that's important is coming from this 11th house, which is, of course, now your progressed 10th house, okay, of success in career, which means you're actively experiencing it through the fog. All right. Hence the need for faith. Everything that you believed you're looking forward to making real began to integrate June, where you started to really develop the idea of what's possible, breaking through your vision relative to who you can share these ideas with and how you identify with this truth of your being. This also coinciding Jupiter that has evolved this progress sense is the true start of this destiny. And remember, the ruler of your 9th house is Jupiter. So this definitely aligns you in, I don't mean to be facetious, highly magical ways. Now, right, once we get to Virgo season, this is going to conclude that eclipse chapter by detailing how exactly it is you are going to make these dreams real. This breakthrough that's going to last from Virgo to your birthday is going to really break you through everything that you're doing in order to gain success. By Sagittarius season, your birthday at the end of the year, you're going to be seeing into the meaning of how your dreams became real. This is very important because the 12th to 6th house axis is what takes that unsureness and uncertainty around how we're going to make this through. And now Virgo is what takes that 6 months of understanding to now actually show how all we had to do was believe and think in that right direction. Now it's becoming real. We identified with who we are. You developed the values, the thoughts, the feelings. You integrated the talents and you're practicing these talents. You're going to break through and perform them to others, which is very significant because now unlocking this South Nodal Virgo is not only going to set you up through the end of the year, but it's also going to prepare for the South Node to go into Leo, your nodal opposition. That's going to put you quite literally on center stage. So we can see a lot of this year is just developing the modus operandi and how you're really going to function. But with that eclipse, especially with the opposition to Saturn retrograde, it's going to prepare to break through what's working in your favor. All right. And that's where by the time we have the eclipse at 2026, of course, again in Pisces, you are now changing your beliefs relative to seeing how what you're working towards is already in motion. Uranus is direct opposite your Uranus, which is so very important because now Uranus opposition moving forward isn't going to go back into Taurus. And this is going to represent the smooth easiness of efficiency for you to instantly manifest at will. For you to now set up passive income. This is a huge deal. Like Uranus's opposition in the 2nd house of money in Taurus is what unconsciously or indirectly is moving forward, going to, whether through technology or investments, enable this. You don't have to even worry about how it's going to form. You're going to be aware of it more Scorpio season in November And then, of course, by the time we come back to May of next year. So, outside of that, yeah, that's really a good long-term view. By the time Jupiter goes into Leo, that's going to really begin to make more focused the knowledge of what's happening. So, yeah, the chances of you getting something off the ground is virtually impossible to not do so. You're literally destined to. All right. And for now, up until September, it's just setting things up still to push forward in line of this new, era. So 2026 is when we're going to have the conjunction to Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, and Uranus fully bringing in these three pillars. So with that being said, as far as this week is concerned, the moon coming from Capricorn to Taurus is going to really conclude this Cancer season, bringing through, of course, the first 4 signs of your activation and initializing integration. As a Sagittarius sun progressed into Capricorn, this is also breaking you through the completion of who you feel you should partner with, that you're comfortable with, that you trust, that actually values you, and how you feel about what you're worth. And this, as it prepares you for the retrograde in Leo season, will very succinctly, of course, challenge your boldness and attitude around how you're going to socially really break this through to people who will begin to support what it is you're doing. But I think what's very significant is this is a huge liquidity chapter that, as the sun is, of course, making you aware of the potential that you have to earn. As Jupiter spends the rest of the year going through Cancer, you will actually feel yourself earning and raising that potential. So this is where retrogrades by November will go back. We'll just have you reevaluate, and you want to be okay with whatever's fluctuating. But by the time you get to Virgo, this will integrate. So that being said, the moon going through Capricorn is having you feel what you can do. As of now, it's in Aries, so now it's having you quite literally feel you and who you feel you are around the right people who support you. As it goes into Taurus, it's going to really surrender and release old value judgments around what you're worth and what you feel you want to have, so that as it goes through Gemini and we close out Cancer season, we have the new moon in Leo coming into next week, which will already oppose this Pluto opposition and make for more extreme supernatural awakening. We'll talk about that more next week, but I think this is a really good video to give you an idea, reassurance, and, kind of to get you excited about you getting more than something off the ground. A lot of what you bring to this world isn't going to be visible by those who aren't necessarily versed in the craft, in the ascended magic craft that you teach. So this is going to hyper realize this in ways that affirm that it was never necessarily invisible. You were never really not taking out the ground. It's just the right circumstances and time had to bring everything together. And now that you've mastered everything since 2010, this is going to really happen quite literally instantly. Cancer season is going to really wrap up the rest of this week and next week. And by the time we get into Leo season, things are going to heat up ridiculously, so that once we step into September, late August, Virgo, everything is going to, and I mean everything, is going to tie together so succinctly. We're all going to really understand how to now break through what we dreamed of, being aware of it becoming real. So I hope you enjoyed this transit forecast. You stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace.